You ever look at the world today, climate change, political chaos, all of it, and just feel stuck? Like we're facing these massive tangled problems that feel totally impossible to solve? Well, let's get into this, because today's explainer has a really powerful way of looking at the whole situation.
So here's the big question. What if we're looking at it all wrong? What if the problem isn't any single crisis, but the actual operating system our civilization is running on? Just imagine it's old, buggy software. It was designed for a totally different time, and now it's just pumping out glitches faster than we can ever hope to fix them.
Okay, so let's break down what's really going on. The source material argues we're not dealing with a bunch of separate, random issues. No, what we're seeing are all symptoms of a single, deep breakdown. You could call it a civilizational glitch. And there's a name for this, the polycrisis. The key word here is interconnected. This isn't just a list of bad things happening at the same time. It's a tangled web where every single problem is actively making the others worse. And this slide just nails how it works. These aren't isolated events. They're feedback loops. So climate change forces people to move. That migration puts huge pressure on governments. Those strained governments can't prepare for the next climate event, which of course creates more disaster, and that fuels fear and breaks down the trust we need to solve anything. It's a perfect, vicious cycle. So if the problem is one big interconnected mess, why aren't our solutions working? Well, that brings us right to the heart of the issue, the total mismatch between the problem and how we're trying to solve it. And here it is, the absolute core of it. We keep trying to fix these deeply woven problems with completely siloed efforts. An environmental team fights deforestation over here, but ignores the economic forces causing it over there. Fragmented actions like that, even with the best intentions, are doomed to fail because they're not seeing the whole picture. And here's why that fragmentation is so baked into our world. Our core institutions, governments, corporations, universities, they're all structurally fragmented. They were built for a much slower, simpler time. They're designed to be specialists, which actually creates barriers and prevents the kind of holistic thinking we so desperately need right now. And just look at the sheer scale of this. You've got over 200 governments, hundreds of millions of businesses, all these other organizations, and they're all pretty much operating on their own, often with totally competing goals. Trying to get them all to pull in the same direction is, well, it's a massive coordination challenge. But it's exactly what the polycrisis is demanding from us.
All right, let's peel back another layer. What's this source code that's driving all this fragmentation and failure? The source material argues it's an operating system that runs on one of our most powerful primal emotions, fear.
Now look, fear is natural, right? It's meant to keep us safe. But here's the dangerous paradox. When you embed that fear instinct into our huge global systems, our economies, our politics, it does the exact opposite. It actually accelerates collapse instead of preventing it. And you can see how this chain reaction happens. It starts with our basic drive to survive. Then we think about the future, and that creates fear. That fear makes us crave safety, which leads us to try and control everything around us. And you know where that leads? Attempts at total control always end in conflict and division. This is a fantastic way to visualize it. Fear literally changes how we think. It puts us in a defensive crouch. Our attention narrows, we can only think about the next 5 minutes, and we prioritize immediate safety over any kind of long-term thinking. That makes the creative, collaborative problem-solving we need pretty much impossible. Okay, so how does this abstract code of fear actually show up in the real world? Well, it appears in our organizations as bureaucratic paralysis. The source material calls it the tyranny of form. You've been there, right? You're in a meeting, everyone knows what needs to be done, but you spend the whole time talking about procedures and protocols and nothing happens. That is the tyranny of form. It's when our fear of risk and blame makes us cling to red tape and endless rules. It gives us the illusion of safety, but what it really does is kill any chance of real innovation. This slide is brilliant because it connects the dots perfectly. Look at these patterns. An individual's need for control. That becomes endless layers of approval, slowing everything to a crawl. A collective fear of being blamed for something, that becomes total risk avoidance, which means nothing new ever happens. This isn't just annoying bureaucracy. This is the fear-based OS creating real-time institutional paralysis. So the answer isn't to just throw out all the rules. The real insight here is that structure itself isn't the enemy. The question is, What is the structure for? Is it there to manage fear and enforce control? Or is it there to build trust and unleash creativity? We have to shift from systems that try to control people to systems that actually empower them to work together. So this brings us to the final and really the most important part. If our global operating system is broken, how on earth do we even begin to reboot it? It means we need to think about a fundamental shift in our entire approach. And this might be the most hopeful and frustrating point of all. We already have so many of the technical solutions we need for the climate crisis and our other huge challenges. The barrier isn't a lack of brilliant ideas. The barrier is our total failure to coordinate, a failure that is rooted in this old, fear-based operating system. And this slide lays out the choice perfectly. It's about a fundamental shift, moving away from a mindset of just surviving, which leads to control, competition, and short-term thinking, and moving towards a mindset of flourishing, one that's built on collaboration, integration, and focusing on our long-term future. So what's the bottom line here? In the incredibly complex world we live in now, learning to consciously work together isn't just some nice idea. It's not a soft skill anymore. It has become literally our most essential survival skill. Which leaves us with this final, massive question to think about. For centuries, we've built our entire world on a foundation of fear and control. So what would it actually look like, and what would it take to build our next chapter on a foundation of trust and collaboration?